lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and with me today, I have possibly the most awesome guest I've had yet on this channel. I have none other than Todd McFarlane with me, the Todd father, creator of Spawn. For Spider-Man, I mean, his name has just been synonymous with comic reading for my entire life, so it's a huge honor to have you on the show, man, and I can't wait to talk Spawn with you.
Cool, appreciate it. Before we get going, a little disclaimer. I've got a deadline. Gunslinger #1 goes to the printers tonight. So I've got artwork I got to be doing while we're talking.
Okay.
So if I'm not looking at you, it doesn't mean I'm not listening. I've got to do an interview and get my pages. Here's a page you can see right here. I gotta finish.
Hey, I'm more than okay with you looking down at your art, while talking to me. That's not a problem at all. So, first off, Spawn. It seems like we'll get right into it. I think starting with like the lead up to 300. I think the popularity I've seen, right? Like I work at a shop part-time, so I've just seen like more and more people jumping back into Spawn that were out of Spawn for a while. And I think the popularity is almost on par with it was when I was a kid and it was first coming out. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I don't know to that magnitude, because the whole comic industry in that early 90s, and you don't even look like you're old enough to sort of hardly been there, but was pretty wild. Everything from everybody was working, so it wasn't just Spawn or Image. It was like everything was blowing up. So right. I think what we're seeing during the pandemic is more sort of selective sort of things that seem to be catching a little bit of momentum, and Spawn, luckily, happens to be one of them that has been doing quite well. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, well, I mean, I was young when it came out, but I was old enough for it to be around when Image started. But I was beginning of my comic book reading. But I'm seeing so many people talking about it, like the hype around King Spawn. You got Gunslinger Spawn. What was the mindset coming up on the 30th anniversary, which is coming up this upcoming year? What was the mindset of you wanting to really expand the universe of the characters at this particular moment in time? Why was now the right moment?
I wouldn't say that now is the right moment. I think it was more of me just finally getting off my ass and stop procrastinating like I've been doing for the last 2.5 decades. Been thinking about it for a long time. I've said before, even when we first began Image Comics, there was early talks of all of us saying, hey, let's all do our books and let's all put it in a shared universe. And although you saw hints of it at the beginning, if you look at a couple early issues of Spawn, you'll see like there was a dragon there and somebody saying something about young blood there, but it never really took hold in any formal way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all sort of went off in our different directions. And then obviously over time, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, were no longer part of Image as years went by. So it would have been difficult anyway. I don't even know what would have, if we actually had done it and then Rob and Jim left, I don't even know how that would have worked. So maybe we saved ourselves some complication, but it's always been there. And as I started nearing issue 300, and I knew there was going to be a lot of attention, a lot of eyeballs on it, that I said, hey, you know what, Todd, if you're ever going to do it, now's the time. And so I came up with a story that I thought would be meaningful for issue 300, but at the same time, in the back of my head, also would give me a catalyst that would allow me to begin doing an expansion. And so if you look at, there's 2 covers that happened at that time, both of them done by Jerome Opeña, on issue 300 and issue 301. And both of them were like these group shots. And I know I had some people going, Todd, I don't understand this cover, like they're not in the book. And my answer was, oh, well, you just wait, right?
Mhm.
This was just my tease to say, here's what's in my brain, and it's about to come. Um, and that was it. And so 300, like I said, was me just saying, Todd, if you're gonna do it, then let's do it. And then once 301 came out, then it was just a matter of lining up, the right creative people and getting sort of things in order so that I could officially sort of say, hey, I'm doing this, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super stoked for him. I loved King Spawn #1. I thought that was awesome. Gunslinger Spawn, from the design to the backstory, is really intriguing. I know you're working on it right now as we speak. You didn't just like expand out with King Spawn, like you're doing Gunslinger Spawn. Then we got the team up book, The Scorch, which we'll talk about as well. How when coming up with the different concepts, the different titles that you chose to do, because you could have gone a number of routes in terms of like expanding the universe again. How did you decide which characters you wanted to spotlight, and then also what talent you wanted to bring on to the books?
Well, talent is sort of way easier. You go after the best and cross your fingers and hope you can get them. And not everybody says yes, because people, I mean, you can imagine what should happen is that, most people are busy because, they're really good. But and this is why I want to give a little bit of a lead time,
Mhm.
so that if I found somebody and they said, oh man, I'd like to do it, but I can't do it for 4 or 5, 6 months. I'm obligated either by contract and or because I gave my word. I'm doing a project. I would still have the ability to wait them out and say, okay, I'm in no rush. Let's when are you free? And then depending on when you're free, we can go. So that's why the expansion didn't start right at 302, right
Okay.
after the big one. I had to give myself time to to sort of factor all that in, and then the plan, and it's all educated guesses, but the plan was that I have the one book, and if I can do 3 more monthlies, then I would have then a Spawn book every week, or Spawn related or whatever in the mythology. Every week you walk into the store, not counting that there are 5-week months, but let's put that aside.
Right.
Because for, almost 3 decades, people come in, they buy Spawn, they go, oh my God, I like it, Todd. And then they walk away and I don't have anything for them for another 30 days, right?
Right.
So a whole month goes by. And we live in a world where if you give somebody a month to get distracted, wow, it's a lot. That's a lot of distractions. So I was trying to go, man, I've gotta try and I've got some momentum on Spawn. I gotta try and keep them. How do I keep them? The answer is, well, you might just have to deliver something every week to them. So every week that they go into the store, somebody can say, oh yeah, hey, here's another book that's sort of related to any of that. Again, I'm not expecting everybody to buy, once we're all said and done in December with the Scorch, that every reader is going to buy all 4. You can pick and choose whichever one you like. But I wanted to give the possibility that you could, since you're going into the store every week and you're reading comics every week anyway, I'll give you one a week. And then the plan was, start with a big event. The big event has to work. Why? Because everything is going to be driven by the success and or failure of that first book, right? You work in a comic shop, right? So if I come out with Spawn's Universe and it's an abysmal failure, then what's my marketing campaign for King Spawn, right? Hey, from that book that didn't sell very well for you or actually sucked, I've got even more coming from that, right? You can't do that. So I knew that the biggest pressure was going to be on Spawn's Universe. So I had to make that one sing, which is why I wanted to make it as many pages as possible, keep the price low, put as many quality artists, creators on it as possible, and make it, I don't want to say easy, but make it somewhat of a low risk curiosity buy for those who maybe have either become lapsed Spawn readers and or haven't read Spawn ever. So they go, hey, 64 pages, got lots of artists in it. Todd's trying to do something big, and it's $5.99. It's essentially the same format as Spawn number 300, $2 cheaper, right? So I don't know. There's a lot of $4.99 books out there right now. So for an extra buck, you can. It's like me giving you 2 extra books for $1. So I want to give as much value as possible, and then, if that book got out of the gates and we got decent orders and it sold, and again, there's 2 components to doing any kind of business. One, you got to get it on a shelf. That's half the mountain. And then the other half, which is way steeper, is now that it's on a shelf, is anybody going to buy it? So people go, oh my God, how do you get your toys at Walmart? It's very difficult. But what's more difficult is once it's there, is make sure they sell, because they'll never give me another order. So with I go, I've got to put my best foot forward with Spawn's universe. And if it does what I think it can do, then 2 months later, King Spawn's coming. I intentionally made it 2 months later so that stores would actually have sales data, right? Instead of ordering blind, I wanted them to know, if it's successful, then you'll have the data to keep ordering at certain levels. If it's not successful, you can basically readjust accordingly. I didn't want you to have to do what some big events are, is I'm going to put one out every week, and all of a sudden you're buying a bunch of stuff blind, and you find out that either you under ordered all of it because you didn't know it was going to be so cool, or you over ordered it and now you're stuck with a bunch of books. I don't think that's fair. So I go, no, I'm going to put 2 months between, so that the retailers, more specifically, will have enough data so that they're not stuck with books. And then you come up with the event, and then I got to come up with my first monthly. No accident I chose King Spawn, because that's the known quantity, right? You guys have been selling Spawn for 3 decades. Oh, another Spawn book. Like, there's more than one Batman book. There's more than one Spider-Man, Superman book. Oh, okay, I get this. I know what this is. This is 2 of the same thing. And the regular book's doing okay, and the Spawn universe did well. Let's go, right? And then King Spawn comes out, surprises me at the level that it was ordered. Hopefully people will sell their copies. And now you get to the next step, which is step 3, which is, well, now I have an unknown character, Gunslinger. And Gunslinger obviously never had a title, and he's a monthly book with a character that nobody's read before in any meaningful way. So how do I react to it? Well, there's a couple. Just like you said, I think he looks badass and he's cool to look at. So if nothing else, even if he just sits there and does nothing, I think I'll get a certain amount of people. But then there's also, the Spawn universe sold, and now King Spawn sold, and now here's the next piece of the puzzle. Oh, okay. I now have data, 2-3 times now, along with the regular Spawn book. And now your risk and your educated guesses as a retailer are starting to basically shrink. So you don't feel like you got your neck out there. And if Gunslinger does well, which it will, and it sells hopefully to the fans, then when Scorch comes along, there'll be a built-in comfort level. I don't expect Gunslinger to sell King Spawn numbers, and I don't expect Scorch either. Matter of fact, Scorch may not even get to Gunslinger numbers. That's okay, right? I always thought that Spawn's universe would come out here. I thought the biggest seller of the bunch for the number ones was going to be King Spawn, because he's a known quantity. And then I thought Gunslinger and Scorch would be somewhere in between. And so far, it's doing exactly that. The only difference is that I thought that the space between Spawn's universe and King Spawn wouldn't be that big. And then I got the orders for King Spawn, and it went, whoa. So now filling the gap with Scorched and Gunslinger between the two, all of a sudden raises the bar. Initially, here was my home run numbers. If I can get 200,000 on Spawn's universe, there's an outside chance, maybe if I huckster it and I push it, I can get 300,000 on King Spawn, right? Well, King Spawn ends up going up to 500,000. So now the number is between Spawn's universe 200,000 and King Spawn 500,000, which now means that where I thought Gunslinger was going to slot in and Scorch maybe 225, maybe 240 or something, like maybe there's more up chance because I've got those two numbers and maybe somebody's cutting it in half and putting it somewhere in the middle. I just got the FOCs a few hours ago, and the answer is it's exactly sort of what they did, right? And so that number now is a huge number that I would have taken for King Spawn, but now we're getting it for a character like Gunslinger. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the response that I've seen in the shops, I mean, I know we sold out a couple times of Spawn's universe. Gunslinger Spawn was the book I think I was the most excited for, because like I said, it's a new character, new addition into the Spawn universe. And I mean, from what I've seen, it's like going to be one of the biggest debuts of a new character in like what, almost 30 years. I think we haven't seen something like this.
So if the number holds up, and it's gonna, then that may be 30, 40 years. I mean, we're gonna have to go back. The number that I was looking at that I had to get past was the debut of Spider-Gwen.
Okay.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was. That was sort of the big number. And then after that, there's really not anything of any significance for about 20, 25 years. So if you could get past Spider-Gwen, then for sure there was nothing in the previous 20 years that came close, because we were doing a lot of books in our industry that weren't even coming close to 100,000, let alone several 100,000. But the number that Spider-Gwen did, and the number that Gunslinger did that I just got, we went past it. So we accomplished what I was hoping for, which is the biggest new comic book launch in 30, 40 years. So
yeah, it's insane. And like I said, with the creatives that you brought on with you to work on these books, Javi Fernandez absolutely killed it on King Spawn. I love Brett Booth.
Let me brag about Javi a bit.
Okay.
Whatever you think you've seen from Javi that you like, I am telling you, dude, the pages are just getting cooler and cooler, right? Because every artist, it takes a while to find your footing on any character.
Mm-hmm.
And he was initially, I would say, drawing Spawn. I kept nudging him, but again, doing more traditional superhero kind of stuff. And I kept sort of saying, hey, dude, he's a bit of a ghost and a little bit creepy and scary, and you can add all those elements to it if you want. So he's really been playing that up, and I keep getting these pages in, and it's just, every time I see it, I just go, oh my gosh. I mean, he just did a cover that I just went, oh my gosh. So everybody is, and he's super excited, which is good, because we're just saying, go crazy, and his crazy is turning out really good. So people are having, thought that the first issue of King Spawn was a good read. I'm telling you, and I mean, maybe I'm biased, but artistically, for a fact, it's getting better. So, yeah.
Is that something that you like to do as kind of, well, for lack of a better phrase, like the head honcho, right? Like these are your babies, these are your creations. Is that something you really enjoy, is like trying to squeeze out something that maybe even the creators beforehand didn't even know, that to a level they didn't even know they could reach, kind of?
That's not necessarily the goal, because I'm picking people that are already good. That's why I'm going after them.
Right.
I'm just basically trying to encourage them to not worry about doing Todd light or Greg Capullo light
Mhm.
versions of Spawn if they don't want to, right? Come up with your own iteration of it so that, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, people be going, oh my God, I like the hobby look of Spawn better than anybody else's, right? Make it your own. So, I mean, I did it with Spider-Man. So I enjoyed what everybody else did. And then I basically added my own touches to it to just have a little bit of fun and basically, see if I can make a little bit of a mark, given that you're out there with 1,000 other people trying to basically do the same thing you are, which is get noticed.
Right. And in terms of story, for the books, like how closely are you working with the writers? Are you kind of plotting stuff out with them, and like you guys bounce the ideas back and forth because you're teaming up with 3 of the writers on the books as well?
Yeah, the usually what I try to do with the writing is I don't want to give them the stories. I don't want to do any of it. What I usually do is if they have a question, I can verbal vomit for a long time about that subject, probably. If they go, hey, Todd, talk to me about heaven. Hey, talk to me about the humans. Hey, talk to me about his powers. Hey, talk to me about his relationship with this person. Hey, talk to me. I've got 320 issues under my belt. I can go a long time on all those subjects. And what my hope is that me just talking, I may say something that may inspire them to go, oh my gosh, I'll pull that thread, right? Because I'm not saying that all this is etched in stone. I'm just saying, here's all the stuff that's come before us. So do it. My only time I sort of come in and I go, oh, hold a sec, is if you've done something that is sort of breaking continuity.
Mhm.
Right? I don't want to be a continuity cop, but there are just some things that we then have to address. So if you say that you want Al Simmons to marry character A, I'm going to go why, and the writers give me their answer, and they go, I got this and this and this and this and this. Cool. My answer is cool. Love it. Sounds good. We got a problem though. Character A is married right now. Right? I mean, I know you haven't been reading all my books, but I'm just telling you, character A is married. So I'm not saying, Spawn can't marry character A. I'm saying though, we have to get that person divorced. Then they can get married. Or does it have to be that character? Is it more that you just want them to basically settle down? And if it's more of that, is there another character we could think about who isn't dead or married right now that we're going to have to, unwind a little bit before we can get there? So I don't care. I'll do it any way you want. We'll go with character A, but just talk to me and tell me why, and then we'll just figure it out, and we'll do it. On the art side, I usually ask artists, first question is like, what do you like to draw? I'll put it in the story, right? I don't care what it is. There's nothing you're going to tell me you like to draw I can't put in a story that's not going to break any of the mood and the sort of feel of the books. So if you say you like to draw bicycles, I'll be silly. You like to draw bicycles and giraffes. Okay, I don't care. But here's what I'm going to do. I know Spawn has to fight bad guy supervillain in the next issue. And so I'm going to stage it because they got to talk to each other, and then they're going to threaten each other and whatever else, and then they're going to have a confrontation. For me, I don't really care. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, I don't really care where the confrontation takes part. So you know what? Somehow they're going to go up in the air, they're going to pound each other, and then come down, they're going to land in a zoo. And they're going to start fighting, And next thing you know, they're going to pile into the bike rack because, again, there's such a big zoo. They let people sort of ride bikes in it. So you're going to get your bikes. And then somebody's going to sock somebody and they're going to go in the giraffe pen. And then the giraffes are all around. You get to draw your giraffes. You can draw 100, baby, small. I don't care. Because what I need is that fight going on. And if you want to draw trees in the background, buildings in the background, or giraffes in the background, I don't care. I'll get you there. So I do that so that people who are drawing will have some enjoyment as to what they're doing. So I'll give you the easy example. If you look at Gunslinger #1 when it comes out, Brett Booth, who's going to be the ongoing regular artist, and he's awesome. I asked him, "Hey, Brett, what do you like to draw?" And like without hesitation, he said, "Dinosaurs." All right. So I just said that. Read that book and see how I got dinosaurs in that book, right? And in a big way, right? Did I draw? Is it a big deal? No, not really. It just the bad guy's got to be standing someplace, and so I don't care where they're standing. So you know what? I came up with a way that they could be standing by dinosaurs. Cool. Don't make any difference to me. Oh, by the way, we also then, as we started talking, said, "Hey, why don't we come up with a supervillain that has dinosaur power, right? Like the Rhino or whatever. I don't know." And and then we came up with that, and then that sort of spurred some other ideas that became some other ideas, and next thing you know, we're doing a bunch of sort of silly stuff. So, anyway, you're going to see sort of dinosaur-esque stuff pop up here and there in the Gunslinger comic book. And even if it was just, I could do a gas station in which the company is called T-Rex Gas, and they got a big logo. I mean, there's lots of different, he's holding a can of beer and it's T-Rex or Brontosaurus beer, right? There's plenty of ways for me to get a dinosaur or whatever my artist wants to draw into a page without taking away from the story I need to tell. So let them have fun, and I still get to tell my story. Win-win for everybody.
Oh yeah. And I think that just like listening to you talk, I mean, I've watched interviews with you, I've read interviews, your passion always comes through for the medium. And I've always wanted to ask you, like, personally, like, how is it that you, like, as busy as you are, because you're not just running the comic book side of things, you run a toy company, which takes up an insane amount of time, I'm sure. And I know you have other stuff that you got in the works in terms of like the film the Spawn movie that I know is, being in production. How do you stay so like passionate and like energized about what you're doing?
Lots of immaturity. I think for me, my observation of life is just my opinion. I think one of the shames a little bit about us as adults is that we have a tendency to give up our inner child a little bit too easily as we get older. We've got to go to work, got to earn a living, got to raise a family, got to do, all this stuff. And yes, all that's a component of acting like a responsible adult. But there should be times where you should be gleeful and excited. And I mean, you see it at football games, and when somebody scores a touchdown for your team, everybody goes crazy and they're painted, right? And they've got horns and so we do have moments. At times I just wish we did it a little more often. So it's interesting that people will say something like that to me, and it comes across as like somehow it's odd, or it's refreshing, or it's new. And to me, it shouldn't be. It should be more. I think it should be way, way, way more commonplace. Look! I met a long time ago a guy by the name of Stan Lee, and I've been able to spend time with him, sort of last 10 years of his life, and I marveled at how much energy that man had. Right, and this is, I mean, shit. I just turned 60. That man was 90. So I go, woo! I got 30 more years, and I can still act with vigor, because I saw Stan do it. He had a pep in his step until sort of near the end. And I went, man, that's it. He's enjoying what he's doing. He's got a smile on his face. He's not worried about what other people think of him. He's way past that. He's just going to do what he wants to do and enjoy it. And it's like, cool. And if you don't like it, then go find something you like, right? It's a weird thing about criticism a little bit, especially in the world of the internet. People want to give you their opinions about them not liking you. It's a weird thing. My answer is the same. Well, go find something you like. I don't know. This is an easy fix, right? Like, I've said before, a long time ago, I figured out, name's Todd, only rhymes with God. I don't get to control any human being. So, you go work, you got money. We all sort of have that disposable income. Spend it on stuff you like, right? So I don't know, if you like cheeseburgers and you hate Thai food, I don't know, I wouldn't go to a Thai restaurant too often. Silly me, that'd be me. But that's it. So, but people have a tendency to want to sort of tell you why they don't like something. It's an odd concept, right? So I'm gonna give everybody who's listening right here a piece of insight into Todd that none of you know. I don't like liver pate. Now, the reason you don't know that is because I never fucking said it out loud, because I didn't think it was overly important for the public to know that, right? Here's what I sure as shit don't do. I don't go to liverpate.com and go to their message boards and tell them how much I dislike it. I don't go to the people who raise the cows and get the liver and put it in. I don't go to the production people and say, how dare you fucking bottle and package liver pate. You know what I do? I don't eat it. I don't consume it. And I walk away from it in the grocery aisle. I walk right by it, right? It doesn't offend me that it's there, because somebody right behind me may actually like it. Cool, good for them. So I don't need to voice every dislike that I have over something. I'd rather spend my time enjoying things that I like. I don't know. It's a weird way to spend some of your day, but you know what? Like I said, everybody gets to live their life. It's not me. So
I'm right there with you. I think that's one of the things I really hate about the internet, and that's why, like with my channel especially, like I won't talk about something I don't like, because I don't want to take time out of my day to talk about something I don't like. I'd rather just share my love and passion for the comic industry and comic books and comic book related stuff than take time to talk about something I don't like. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you don't like something,
let me do a little bit of math for you too.
Okay.
For anybody that's out in the public eye that has to deal with criticism, right? So I'll make it easy on you how to deal with criticism. One, like Instagram, I put up, hey, here's a new cover for Gunslinger. I don't really read the comments, right? Because, and here's why. Not that I don't care, but I already know what I'm going to do tomorrow with my work. I know I've got to get Gunslinger out today, which is why I'm working on it, right? And if everybody that I know made a comment yesterday and said, Todd, we love you, I still have to get this book to the printers today. Sorry about that. I needed to ink something. I didn't want to be rude, so I just shut you down.
It's all good.
I don't know. Technology does things. But to finish the point, if everybody that I show my work to loved me today, and I take that number of people and I put it up against the entire population of the world, and I take the fraction, I divide it by the population of the world, and I take that fraction and I round it to the whole, the single whole number, it's zero. I got 0% of the world's population cares about what I do. And that's if they love me. All of them love me. Now, if I do the exact same thing and everybody like hates what I do, then I still have zero. So on my best day, I'm a zero. And on my worst day, I'm a zero. So given that no matter what I do is going to be a zero, I just might as well do what I want to do and have fun at it and just do it. And if you want to go for the ride, go for the ride. I don't need the world to come with me. What I need is enough, that's the word, enough people so that I can pay the bills and continue to do it another day. And I've been lucky enough to find enough people for 35 years now. So that's all I need. I don't need everybody to like me. Shit, my mom doesn't like everything I like. So you don't like what I'm doing? Go get some. If you like it, God bless you. I appreciate you staying. I'm very thankful for you staying. Don't expect you to stay for all 30 years. I don't know if I have that many that have been here since the beginning. But just come and go as you see fit. It's your life, it's your money. You enjoy it as you see fit. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, and maybe we'll run into each other someday. Cool.
Right on, man. Yeah, I wanted to also, this is something that was curious to me about. You've stuck to the $2.99 price point.
Yep.
When so many other comics are like, way, in my opinion, just like way too much money for the product you're getting, and on top of the fact that you up the covers to a thicker paper, like a cardstock, which I think is really dope.
What? The cover stock costs me 40% more to print every month now.
That's crazy.
So it didn't come free of charge, but I just went, I make a good living. I'm okay. I'm good. I got a house. My kids have gone through college. I got a car to pay for. I can afford to go on a vacation now and then. Like, I'm good, right? I don't need to milk it. I'm not a public company. I don't have to maximize profits, right? So 95% of the decisions I make as a businessman usually go back to me being 16 years old. And I just go, man, what would the 16-year-old Todd have, how would he have reacted to this decision? And a $2.99 book compared to a $3.99 book, if all things are equal, again, if the $3.99 book has your favorite character, that's not equal. If it has better art or better writing or whatever it is you think's better, that's not equal. But if you're looking at a book and you're going, that one book seems okay, and oh, there's Spawn, that one seems okay, that's equal, and one's a buck cheaper. And I think at that point, it does matter. It does matter. Oh, by the way, I think it's way better for business. I've told people I would rather have 1 million people give me $1 than to have 10 people give me 100,000. Same amount of money. Both of them add up to $1 million. But one of them gets you 1 million people talking about your product, and the other one gets you 10. So I don't know. If you want to do something that a lot of people are going to know about, then you need a lot of people. And one of the way to get a lot of people, put out a quality product and give it to them at a fair price, and go as low as you can. No max profit. Just give it to them as low as you can. So I'm like, okay. So people, even within Image, Todd, when are you going to $3.99? When everybody goes to $4.99, so I'll still be the cheapest guy, right? I can't. I don't. Why should I take the money? I mean, could I? Yes. Would people blink at the extra buck since they're already trained for it? No. But why? Other than because I can take it. Why? It's not an answer for me. It's not an answer. I need something deeper than that to be able to do it. So I go, I can afford not only to stay at $2.99, I can afford to actually add value to the $2.99. And if anything, maybe I'll embarrass some of the other people saying, why are you $4.99 and not giving them that value? So, but anyways, I think it matters in the long run, right? It's the reason why after 300 issues, I'm still here and the book is doing okay and we're having a renaissance. I think all these pieces matter.
That was the word I was looking for earlier, a renaissance, with the Spawn characters and the whole universe. And you've done a couple other cool things. One of them I wanted to mention was the 1 in 250s, the signed ones that you're doing with the CGC signature, which I think is really cool, kind of incentivizes people to really want those books. And you're doing them for all of the titles. You did it for King Spawn, you're doing it for Gunslinger, and you're also doing it for the Scorched. Where did that idea kind of germinate from? Was part of it in in response to maybe you not doing cons also, so people couldn't, you know, come see you and get books signed? Or was it just something cool and unique that hadn't been done before, so you kind of wanted to do something new?
Well, here's the thing that's weird. I don't think any of it's really unique, right? People have been getting their books graded. People have been doing incentive covers, and people have been sort of collecting books that have low print runs. And all I did in that instance was decide to figure out a way to put them all together. And that's where I'm getting way more credit for. I'm going, what are you talking about? Like, as a matter of fact, I was actually shocked when they said nobody's ever done it. I'm like, what? Like, because we were trying to figure out, like, well, part of it stemmed from the conversation with CGC, so I tip my hat to them, that they were saying, hey, Todd, you said you were going to do these incentive covers, and then you were going to sign them, and then you were never going to sign any more, right? Why? So I could make sure that the people who bought it got their value kit. There was never going to be a warehouse fine. So I was like, no, I'm going to sign them. And then I just actually did some more damages the other day. And then whatever I've got left over, I'm just going to burn them and shred them all. They aren't like, and put them on video so that you guys can see that if you are one of the ones that have, one of those incentive books, I just got rid of all the other ones. So you're in a select group now. But they said CGC started getting phone calls. And people were saying, well, Todd never's going to sign it. How are we ever going to get it graded? Because you have to have a witness. And it was like, oh, yeah, I didn't really think about that. And then I'm like, oh, well, well, maybe there's I don't know. And anyways, we started going. They were going, well, maybe we'll phone everybody and see who wants one. And they can send it in and then you can come in. I'm like, man, that's a lot of phone calls. So then we just got to the basics. Well, why don't we just have somebody witness all of them when I'm doing it from CGC, and then just put a coupon? Can we put a coupon in every book that says, hey, if you want to get it graded, send it in. If you don't have to. You don't have to make a bunch of phone calls. I bet it's way cheaper and faster to just print these things up and put a coupon in each one than to basically phone 1,500 people. So that was it. And it was, I don't know, like I said, when they said, oh my gosh, Todd, people are so excited giving you street cred. I'm always amazed when I get credit for doing something that I just assume had been done a lot of times prior to that, right? I mean, I did a CGC signing just before the pandemic where I went, hey, guys, I've seen these books at shows. People want graded and they float all over. Why don't you just send it to CGC? I'll fly to CGC. I'll sign it, and then they'll send it back to you, right? In, out. Oh my gosh! Like it was like you thought I invented something. I'm like, well, you've never had people just send it in and have the people come and sign it, like so it doesn't have to go through the mail, through middlemen 4 or 5 times to 5. I mean, I understand if you want 5 autographs, you got to go to different shows, and the middlemen have to do that. But if you only want one, nobody's, because that's what I would want. 16-year-old Todd would say, hey, I don't want this thing in the mail 5 times.
Yeah.
I want to send it once, back, out, got my autograph, done. So I don't know. I have to I have to tell you, sometimes I scratch my head when people want to pat me on the back for doing something that I just think should have been done, I guess. Or I thought it had actually been done 10 years ago. Silly me. So dumb luck. Sometimes dumb luck. You get lots of credit for dumb luck. So.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a fucking really awesome idea, and I think it's cool that you're doing them for all 3. I also wanted to, briefly ask you a little bit about the Scorched and the idea behind doing the team aspect of, the Spawn characters, where that came from.
After 300 issues plus of a comic book, I don't care what comic book you do, you're going to have a boatload of characters, right? So this whole inventing a new universe, the universe was already there, right? You're going to see it in those connecting covers that Brett Booth is doing that I'm inking. Mm-hmm. You're going to see over 100 characters easy on that cover. When you put them all together, all 3 of them, those are characters have been in the Spawn comic book. but there was no way I was going to be able to basically tell any meaningful stories of a bunch of those characters who I felt had some value to tell stories without making Spawn's regular book a team up book, right? Which is sort of a little bit what has been happening the last 5, 6 months with him. I wanted to get him back to just being at Spawn's book and him being gnarly and nasty and stuff. So if you read 322, 323, you're going to see Spawn getting back to like being a little nasty, right? Which is when he's at his best. So I go, well, how am I gonna tell stories of these other characters? There's only one way. You got to create pages and room for them. Well, I assume people buying Spawn, King Spawn are going to want Spawn. I assume people buying Gunslinger are going to want Gunslinger. But at least it gives me a format to tell stories about Gunslinger. Mm-hmm. Now, what about all those other characters? Okay, I needed to give myself a lab room that I could experiment. And the place is, why not put some of them together and bring in some of these characters and move them in and out and rotate the roster and call it a team book, which is how team books work. And that was it. That was the idea behind that.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for that. I think like all the covers you've got coming up, for all the variants, it's always hard to kind of choose which cover to get because they're all so dope. Besides all the plans for Spawn, like I said, we are nearing the 30th anniversary of Image Comics.
Yep.
So I was curious, is this kind of a time where like, is there ever a time where you sit back and think like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like something that you started almost 30 years ago is still going strong. The book that you created almost 30 years ago is still going strong, is expanding. And is there any plans that you have in the works? I mean, you don't have to tell me them if it's going to spoil anything, but are there any plans in the works to kind of celebrate this momentous occasion?
Yeah, Image being around 30 years, we'll be doing some corporate stuff. Yeah, and then I'll be doing some stuff that's specific to Spawn himself. So yes, the answer is yes on that. The analyzing of what it is that we do in our place in history and all of that, probably I'll pay more attention to it and be able to enjoy it more when and if I slow down. Because when you're in the middle of a race, marathon, you don't pat yourself on the back that you're at mile 17. It's like, oh man, look how good I am. I ran 16 miles. Aren't I good? I'm so great. Man, let me think about all those steps I took to get here. No, all you're thinking about is I still got 9 more miles to go. Mm-hmm. The marathon's not over. People will, you leave it to other people to basically sort of bring attention to some of your accomplishments. And then you go, oh yeah, intellectually, I know that what we did at Image now matters. I'm not blind to that. But when we were doing it, that wasn't, none of us knew that was going to be the big goal. We just wanted to have personal freedom, and we did something, and we hoped that some others would join us. And we didn't know it was going to have as much impact as it has now. So I'm quite proud of everything that we've done. The formation of Image is sort of my number one pride and joy, even over Spawn, because Image will be around forever now. Who knows about Spawn? So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird when you're in the limelight a little bit, that people sort of want to dissect and want you to analyze it and want you to think about it. But I don't really think about my life that much more than you do, or any people listening right now do. You get up and you live your life because today's today, and you worry about today, and you don't go, man, I was super awesome in high school. And you know why I was super awesome? It's because I had strong, you don't do, right? It's only when you do interviews, people go, why do you think you're so tenacious? Why do you think you're so stubborn? Why do you think you're so, and I feel like sometimes you're on a psychologist, couch, where you lay back, mm-hmm. and they ask you the questions, right? And you got to analyze yourself, right? Why do you think you have this problem? Is it father issues? Did you have a nice childhood, right? So I like, why do I do what I do? I don't know. It's in my DNA. It's how I came out of the womb, and it's how I've always been. I don't have any other memory of me being anything other than what I am. It's just how I do it. And so what's natural for me is not necessarily natural for somebody else, because we all have our own personalities now, right? That's the biggest sort of lightning bolt I got once I hit about 30, 35. Oh, we all have our own thought process stuff, right? Let everybody just do their own thing. You do your thing, let them do their thing, and let's just hope that everybody accepts everybody, warts and all, right? Cool. So for me, I do stuff, people go, oh my God, you're so brave, you're so courageous, you're so outspoken. Doesn't feel like any of that to me. I'm just being taught, right? If I had your personality, then possibly I would apply those words to me, right? So, but being gracious and being intellectual and being kind and being thoughtful, I don't think I'm really big on those. So other people who do it, I marvel at them, go, man, how do you do that, right? Because it's just natural for people to be that person. So yeah, it's weird. I like, basically it's a long way of saying, shit, dude, I got 30 more years in the tank. I'm like, I've been at it for 30 and I'm only halfway through, right? Everything. If I keep saying I'm going to go to 100, if I'm right, if I go to 100 and I work from 20 to 60, which is where I'm at now, that means that's 40 years, and 60 to 100 is another 40. I'm halfway through. I'm halfway through my career. I am halfway through my career right now. So people like want to start talking about it like it's near the end. I'm like, for me, shit. I keep saying I'm going to direct a movie. That means I've got a career I haven't even begun yet. There's still careers I haven't even touched yet that I'm going to get to.
Speaking of that, before I let you go, I do want to ask, is there any type of update or news on the Spawn film and when we can possibly expect some more announcements?
Hollywood is gonna break my soul. We've been working at it through the pandemic. Have actually added pieces and people to it that we haven't announced. Mm-hmm. So it's moving on. I mean, I'm always way more aggressive in how I'd like it to be moving faster. The people who live in that world seem to be okay at the pace, because it's how like a lot of their stuff works. So it's foreign to me for somebody who turns out comic books and toys so fast to have to spend years, getting each idea sort of just in the right spot. I kid the people in Hollywood and tell them, I go, here's my definition of Hollywood for all you Hollywood people. Just so you know, this is my definition. You come, you work in Hollywood for 40 years, you do 2, maybe 3 things, you die, they call you prolific at your gravesite. Like, I don't know, it's a weird business to me that you can do like 3 or 4 things and it takes a lifetime to get there. But I'm not necessarily built for it. So I always tell them, thank God I got a day job, right? Mm-hmm. So while you guys are worrying about and figuring out whether you're going to do some of the stuff I'd like you to do, I'm going to go get my comic books and my toys out, and I got things to do today. You guys give me a call when you're ready. So, but we're moving. I have a Zoom call about the movie on Thursday. What's today? Tuesday. On Thursday, yeah. We have everybody, all hands on deck. We're having another meeting.
All right, man.
We'll get there. I'm stubborn. Like I said, I got 30 more years. We'll get there.
Well, I'm very excited. I've been itching for another Spawn movie, and I'm excited about all the comics coming out. I want to thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me about comics and Spawn. And one last thing before you go, if you could just, maybe just say one more thing about the Spawn books and why everybody should go out there and pick them up.
Wow. I try not to get heavy-handed with telling people that something's good. I like to let people have their own taste. But if you've ever had a sort of a curiosity about Spawn himself and or like I said, our lapsed reader, and you want to have a couple of places that are jumping on points, I'm going to create a couple of them with some of the characters. I mean, nobody really knows who Gunslinger is. I mean, he's never had any meaningful stories. So if you're curious about a new character and you think that you may have missed the boat with somebody like Spawn, which I think is just getting warmed up. So if you like a little bit of creep and horror, you're going to want to sort of look back at the Spawn book and the King Spawn. But if you want to get on the ground level of an unknown character, just like I did when Wolverine sort of came onto the scene, it's like, who is that guy? I want to know more about him, and he's super cool. That Gunslinger, I think, would be a safe bet. And then if you just like good, clean fun and you like comic book superhero stuff, what's better than 5-6 superheroes in the same place, right? Call them team books. They're always cool. The Avengers are succeeding not by accident in film. So there's a couple opportunities. Oh, by the way, if you're mildly curious, as we spoke about, it's a $2.99 curiosity buy. So I'm not going to make it break the bank to sample something that's here in the buffet. If you don't like it, then it's not like you went, oh my gosh, it cost me a lot of money to get there. So I don't know. It'd be nice to have new customers, because I'm always curious to meet them at shows and to hear their opinions of, when I get to meet them and what they like about comic books and some of the stories we do. So that's it. And if not, then back to the original, then go buy and consume what you like, right? And stay away from the blogs of the stuff you don't like. Way better to spend time on positive stuff than negative stuff.
I agree, man. And again, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I would definitely love to do this again with you in the future sometime if you're down.
Sure. I appreciate the time. You're doing a good service too during the pandemic here, that everybody needs we need to find ongoing different ways to continue to interact and touch one another. And so even if it's just the way that we're doing it here, right? I think all of this is positive. So just all you guys who got podcasts and radio shows and write blogs and all of it. I'm super proud of all of you guys. Whether you like me or not is not relevant. I like that you guys are keeping geekdom alive and well. So,
well, thank you again, and dude, you're awesome, and I can't wait to check out the books. Everybody listening and watching, make sure you follow Todd on all social media accounts, and we'll talk again soon, dude.
All right, be good.